Hey pre-K friends, you might not recognize neighbor Jim because he's not outside and around a bunch of bikes. We are inside and he's picking up his dog Ren. Ren and Jim, they kind of rhyme. And there is Reese. But neighbor Jim, what are you going to talk to us about today?
We're going to talk about computers.
All right.
So first off, I wanted to say thank you guys for letting me do this. I really enjoy it. I do always wanted to be a teacher, and I do teach some things. Sorry, the boys are fighting. But it's been interesting to talk to you guys because I know you're young, but I teach a lot of things to adults, and I always try to break them down to the simplest way possible and then build from there. So what I'm going to talk about today is something that everybody thinks is really complicated and complex, and I can't understand that, but it's actually very, very simple, and that's computers. So I'm a software developer. That's how I maintain my rock and roll lifestyle and afford all those expensive bikes. And so I write computer code. All right, but I'm also I have a degree in electrical engineering. All right, so engineers, they're not just people who drive trains. They build things. So there's engineers that build buildings and roads and computers, and electrical just means.
Keep going.
Okay.
Yep.
But I also do software development, and so there's software and there's hardware in a computer. Okay.
Sounds like my classroom, Mr. Jim, neighbor Jim.
The dogs are fighting back there. They're just play fighting. So hardware is the actual electronics. So this is a laptop. So this is hardware. Okay. So you can see it's hard, just like right phone. Right, my phone. It's hard. Right. So software is the things inside the computer that make the code that makes it do the things you want it to do. And it's called software versus hardware because it's kind of like clay or mud or Play-Doh, right? You can take that and you can mold it and shape it into different things, all right? So it's soft. And that's what it means by software, is that you can mold and change the code to make the computer do different things versus the hardware that's sort of fixed and it's not really changeable. So that's what I do for a living, is make that computer code to make the computers do the things that you want it to do. But today we're going to talk about how the hardware works and what's going on inside a computer. And it's very, very simple, very, very basic. So first we need to understand, first of all, I'm going to play with some electronics here, all right? I'm going to play with some wires, all right? Electricity this is very safe. I know it's safe, okay? But electricity can be dangerous, all right? I'm sure your parents have told you not to play with the socket in the wall and those kinds of things. So anytime you do any of this, you need to make sure that a parent's around and they approve of it, okay?
Good
just
call.
Want to make sure. Okay, so electricity. Electricity flows kind of like water. So in your sink, right, you have a faucet, right? So when the faucet's off, nothing comes out. When you turn the faucet on, the water comes out of the faucet, right? Electricity kind of works the same way. So you have switches on the wall. You have a switch that turns the light on or off, right? So that switch is just blocking the electricity from flowing through, okay? Versus when it's on, it allows electricity to flow through the light that turns the light on. Okay, so what I've got here is just a little kind of a mini computer, all right? And these things are called LEDs. That stands for light emitting diode. So a diode is just a type of electronic component, and it's light emitting. Emit means to give off, all right? So it gives off light versus there's some components that, like the speaker in your computer and your phone, when the electricity passes through them, it gives off sound. There's some heaters that when electricity passes through the coil, it heats up, keeps your feet warm, okay? So different components do different things when electricity passes through them. This one gives off light, all right? So I'm going to show you just the basics of how a switch works, all right? So this red wire comes down here into one leg of the LED, and then out the other one, out this black wire, and it creates a loop, all right? So the electricity is just flowing through this loop back and forth. So if I just pull that out, that wire, that light goes off, right? Now push it back in, it comes on. So that's just like the switch in your wall, okay? It's just disconnecting and reconnecting the electric flow, okay, that allows the electricity to flow through this light. Okay, so there are these things called transistors. So this is like a mechanical switch, and the switch in your wall is a mechanical switch where you actually physically, okay, turn it on and off. All right, this over here, I'm just going to show you.
You want to zoom in on the...
Yeah, that's fine. This is called a transistor, okay? That's what makes up all the computers out there, okay? Instead of, you can see this LED has 2 legs, this one has 3, okay? And so what happens is that you have one of these legs, all right, that you send electricity through to turn on this switch. So it electronically does this, turns them on and off and on, all right? So that's what your computer is made up, is all these little transistors that turn things on and off. So all you have to do is tell the, let's see, bring this up here. Hello. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just tell it, okay, I want to turn, let's see here. That's all right. Get to my spot. And I'm just going to tell it to turn on these other 2 lights. Okay, so this computer, you can see through this wire, is hooked up to this little thing, and it's full of transistors, all right? And I'm going to tell it to turn these other 2 lights on.
No way.
So it's compiling the code, okay, and it's just going to tell it, give it a second, it's going to send that program over here to tell it to turn these lights on.
It's thinking, isn't it? Oh,
Yep, all 3 came on. Can you see that?
how cool.
Yeah. So we can do things like, okay, well, let's turn those on, but then why don't we make this one blink every second? See if I can barely see on my tiny little screen here.
I cannot believe you're changing the lights by writing
That's
code.
right. So all this is just basically saying turn on, turn off. That's all I'm doing. And give it another second. Okay, now watch the red one. The red one blinks on and off every second, okay?
And you could tell it to do that every second, every 5 seconds.
Whenever I want. So that's all this computer code does, okay? Now you say, okay, well, that's great. Well, what does that have to do with computers? Well, what we're looking at here on the screen is all little LEDs like this, millions of them. They're tiny, you can't even see them. But all this computer is doing is turning on different little LEDs all over the screen to make the images you see. So what I was going to show you was, we talked about shapes the other day. So here's some basic shapes, right? We got a red circle, and we got a yellow square and a green triangle. Let's see here. We're going to zoom in. Scooch down a little bit. All right. So let's see here. Okay, so if you look in there,
You're really zooming.
you zoom in, you see how all these little squares, this one's red, that one's white, these are red, those are white. That's what's going on in your computer. If you zoomed in real quick, if you took a magnifying glass and went into your TV or your computer or your phone, you would see all these little circles and grids in there. And that's all that's going on inside your computer, is that these little lights are turning on and off, just like we're doing over here. And the programs tell it when to turn things on and when to turn things off, and to do certain things in a certain sequence. And that's all a computer is. Really, everything, it adds numbers together, it does very basic math, and it turns things on and off. So all those little transistors, electronic switches, that's all your computer is millions and millions and millions and millions of these little transistors that turn things on and off. That's all that's happening. It's really that simple. So that's what I want to show you guys today, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Neighbor Jim. That was really, really cool. Have a great weekend.
You too. See you guys.
Bye. Okay, guys. I bet you can guess where I am. I'm at Neighbor Jim's house, and he has a brand new lesson for us. Hey, Neighbor Jim.
Hi, kids. So last time we talked, I talked about kind of how a computer works. So, and also how the screen. So in other words, you're seeing me right now. Okay, but I'm not really in front of you, am I? You're not in the same room with you. And how the lights get turned on and off so quickly on your screen, and there's millions of them, and that's how you see me. Well, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was, how are you able to hear me? You're not in the same room with me. So the thing you're hearing me through is called a speaker. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. It's very simple, just like most things in the world, very simple. But the first thing we need to understand is, what is sound? Like how am I able to produce things out of my mouth that Emily can hear and then you can eventually hear me? Okay, I'm still moving my lips, but nothing's coming out, right? It's because the way we talk is that we take air out of our lungs, all right, and push it out of our mouths, and then form all the different sounds with our lips and our mouth and our voice box in here. So what that's producing is an air wave, okay? So the air is coming out of my mouth, going towards Emily, going into her ears. We have an eardrum, right, in both ears, and that is how we pick up the sound. You can think of it like this weekend. Sunday was very windy, right? You can feel the wind on your face and in your hair and on your skin, but you can also hear it, that whooshing sound, right? That's the air going into your ears, and your eardrums are picking that up. So I just wanted to show you real quick. The problem with air is that you can't really see it, all right? So if I blow on this water here, see all those waves, those ripples going out? That's the same thing with the air. So when I'm talking to you, those air ripples are going towards you. So that's how you perceive sound, all right? But I'm pushing air towards Emily, but you're not in the same room with me. So, I'm not sharing the same air with you guys. So how are you able to hear me? Well, there's two parts of that. The first part is we're going to talk about today, but it's called a microphone. So in other words, that phone is just like her ears. It has like little eardrums in the phone that pick up that sound, that air vibration, and then record it. And then when you play it back, that comes out of a speaker. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Good example, I got the dog bowl out here that we use, our collapsible dog bowl. And to kind of show you how the speaker works, I'm going to show you with this dog bowl. So when I pop this out, you hear that? That little popping sound? So from the side you can see. All right, so what's in front of this bowl right here? You can't see it, but it's air. We know it's there, right? Because when it's cold out, you can see your breath or fog or the clouds. That's just air with moisture in it, okay? So you can't see it, but you know that there's air there. So when it pops out, it's pushing that air out, okay? That's what your ears are picking up. Okay, so how does a speaker work then? Well, you remember when we talked about the compass and how it works and tells like which direction you're going in, points to north? You remember how the magnets, okay, that make up the compass will attach to each other in one direction, but then will repel each other in the other. If I turn it around, they won't go next to each other. That's how a speaker works as well. If you'll notice over here, so first things first, guys, you know that anytime you see wires and things like this is something that only adults will play with, so make sure there's an adult around. So these are speakers that I got out of my basement. They're dusty, they haven't been used in a while, but I took the front off and took part of the speaker out to show you how it works. So if you notice, that's a magnet down there, okay? So at the bottom of this speaker is a big magnet, all right? It's a fixed magnet, just like these things are. Okay, on the top of this thing, check this out. All right, watch when I push down. See how that goes up and down? That's called the diaphragm, okay? No giggling. So that's just like the dog bowl here, okay? So that's just popping in and out, right? So that's pushing the air out away from the speaker towards your ears, okay? Okay, so how do we get it to work then? All right, I can sit here and push on it, and that's great. But I've got a magnet here, and I got a diaphragm here. You'll notice these two wires, okay? Here's one cool thing, kids. So, kind of neat. So electricity, you know about electricity that runs the lights and your computer and everything else and your TV. And we talked about magnets. They're interrelated. That just means that they go hand in hand together, okay? Like peas and carrots, all right? So magnets, so all the electricity in your house, it's being generated in these power plants by magnets, okay? magnets are sitting there and turning around in circles around these wires. That creates an electric current that goes through the wires, that goes along the, electric poles and underground and comes into your house, all right, and powers everything you've got. Vice versa works too. You can take an electric current and turn it into a magnet. So inside of this, we'll come back. So I'm not going to tear this apart because these speakers are still good, but inside of this part is a coil of wires, all right, like wires like this that are just twisted around. All right, so when I run electricity through that, that is going to turn this into a magnet. So that magnet is going to be attracted or deflected from that magnet. Okay, so you got the magnet down here.
Push or pull.
Push or pull. All right, so hang on. You stay there. So I just hooked this up a little bit to some electrical wires, and I'm just going to make a connection, just like a switch, like turn it on and off, and watch the speaker. See how it's bouncing up and down?
I do.
And making that noise? That's all your speaker does, is it sits there and pushes air in and out, all right? That's what makes you hear what I'm saying. So then computer programs and all that kind of stuff can make music and do all kinds of things. And I just wanted to end this with really important stuff that I'm sure these parents will love to hear.
Oh, of course. Oh, you're cruel, neighbor Jim. I'm out of here.
Bye, kids. Hi, kids. It's neighbor Jim. Last couple of times we talked about bicycles and shapes and things like that. Because I like bicycles a lot. We're not going to talk about bicycles today. Well, maybe just a hair. But today we're going to talk about something that my wife Susie and I like to do. It's called adventure racing. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, like with pirates and stuff. Except you don't need a peg leg and you don't need a parrot on and no eye patch.
What do you need?
What you need is a map and a compass. So we're not going to talk about maps today, but we'll talk about them maybe another time. But we're going to talk about a compass. That's a compass right there. There's all kinds of different compasses, but it's what's called a base plate compass. But this adventure racing, you have to go off into the woods for days on end, and no sleep, and find these things in the woods. It's kind of like an adult Easter egg hunt. Hope you guys had a good Easter. But it's a lot of fun, and you use a map and compass. You don't use your phone or GPS or anything like that. You got to do it old school. And it's a lot of fun because when you find these things, it's great. When you don't find them, not as much fun. But use a map and compass in order to figure out which way to go, all right, to find these things in the woods. So I'm going to talk about a compass and how it works and why it works and why you're able to figure out which direction is which so that you can use it to find your way.
Fancy word here, navigate.
Navigate or orienteer, so orient yourself, and that means figuring out which way you're facing, which way you need to go. So this is a globe. You guys know what these are. Represents the earth that we live on. All right, Farmer's over there.
Oh, hold on, Mr. Jim.
Gotta let Farmer in.
Oh, yes.
The other farmer.
All right, coming right back. Here we go.
Okay, so it's a globe, and you guys probably already know, all right, this is North America, and this is the United States, and right here is Tennessee, all right, and down in the southeast corner is Chattanooga, all right, the bottom right corner. And you guys already know about your directions, right? North is up, all right, west, east, and south. So southeast just means the bottom right corner. So you combine south and east, and it's that direction. So you can also say things like south by southeast or east by southeast. All right, so you can just figure out which direction you need to go in using those. They're called cardinal points on the compass. Put that over here. Okay, so what are ways you can figure out which way is north? Because I don't know which way to go. Say I wanted to go from Tennessee up to Canada, okay? Our neighbors to the north, all right? That's a clue on which direction we need to go in. So Chattanooga's right here, Canada's up here. We need to go up on the globe, so that's to the north, okay? So we know which direction we need to go, but how do we figure out which direction that is, right? Okay. One way is we can use the sun. It's kind of cool. So I don't know if you guys know this, but it looks like if you watch the sun all day, it moves across the sky, but it's actually not moving. We're the ones that are moving, okay? The sun is fixed, okay? So this is kind of neat, but I'm going to use an example here. This is Asia, so I'm going to put my finger on Chattanooga over here, all right? And if Emily, okay, the camera is, go ahead, you can stand back there. You're standing still. If Emily's the sun, okay, out in the sky, all right, the Earth is going to rotate. But right now, because the Chattanooga is behind where the sun is, it's going to be dark. So this would be like it would be at night, okay, when you're sleeping. It's going to be dark outside because it's not getting any light that way. But as the Earth rotates, okay, as it comes around, there's Chattanooga right there. As it comes around, it starts getting a little bit of light, right? And as it comes around, then it gets a lot of light because it's getting closer or facing the sun a little bit more. So that's what we have now. The sun is right above us, straight up in the sky. And as it turns around, it starts going away, all right? And then the sun sets, and then it goes to night again, okay? So we know, remember, east is over here. So as it rotates, the sun rises in the east, but the sun doesn't really rise. We just turn and face the sun, okay? And that happens to be over top of my garage over here. That's east, all right? The sun rises in the east, and it sets over to the west. So you remember from our directions, right? East here, west here, which way's north? This way. So that means north is over here to my right, over by Emily's house. Her house is to the north of my house.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so we can use the sun to figure out which direction to go in. The problem is, what about at night or when it's cloudy or rainy? We can't, you can't really see the sun. Then you have to use other tools to figure out how to know which direction is which. So one of the tools we use is called a compass. Okay, so a compass works on the principle of magnetism. You guys know about magnets, right? So I just got two little magnets here off of my refrigerator. Happen to be Volkswagen magnets. All right, we're just going to call, so magnets they attach to metal, right? They can go on your refrigerator, but magnets are also directional. What that means is that you take two magnets, all right? We're going to call this the North Pole and the backside the South Pole, all right? You'll notice that they'll only attach in one direction. The south will only attach to the north. But if I turn them around so that the two norths are facing each other, they won't go together. Like
You're pushing hard.
I'm pushing hard, and they just won't go together. But watch what happens when I let go. It flips around so that the north and the south are facing each other. So they're directional. They'll only attract in a certain direction. So it happens, we're lucky that for several reasons, that the Earth has a magnetic field around it, a big magnetic field. It happens to go from the North Pole, okay, Santa's workshop, all the way around to the South Pole. And if your folks want to Google it, it's pretty neat to look at the magnetic field around the Earth. The magnetic field is very important to us. We probably wouldn't be here without it because it protects us from cosmic rays and some of the sun's radiation. But it's also useful for navigation to figure out which way to go, because the same principle here, that these are always going to align south to north, right? We can use that to figure out which direction is north, because the Earth is one big magnet. So I'll show you on the compass here. All right, so this compass right here, okay, this strip of metal that with red on one end and black on the other, it's just paint, is a magnet. All right. It is sitting in oil, and this is called a bezel. It's sitting in oil on a little pin, and it's just perfectly balanced, so it can just, sit there and not have much friction, not be interfered with. And if you notice, that red line that red arrow is pointing that direction, which we know that's to Emily's house. That's north. But watch, as I turn the compass, see how that arrow keeps pointing in the same direction?
It's not moving at all.
No matter which way I go, it's going to point to the north, right? And I can prove to you, so that's aligning, okay, that's actually the south pole of the magnet, and it's aligning with the north pole of the Earth, all right? So no matter where you're at on Earth, this is going to point to up here, okay? And I can kind of prove that it
this could
works
be
with
cool.
the magnet, is I can take the magnets we've got here, right? And watch, as I get closer, watch it spin. See how the magnets or the compass needle is spinning because it's attracted by this magnet right here. But when I get this, see, this is a small magnet, right?
Oh, yes.
The Earth is a really, really big magnet. Okay, so if I get this far enough away, it's not going to interfere with the compass. This is now going to be attracted to the magnetic north of the Earth. So if I'm trying to figure out if I want to go to Canada from Chattanooga, all I have to do is look and go, oh, my compass is pointing that way to the north. So I turn myself around and off I go. And I'll see you in about 2.5 months because it's going to take probably 6 months to walk up there. I wouldn't suggest going to Canada, kids. It's a long way. Get your parents to buy a plane ticket. But anyway, that's how a compass works, and that's how you can navigate and figure out which way to go when you're in the woods or even in the street or around your backyard.
If you don't have a phone and you want to do something really cool. Mr. Neighbor Jim, can I ask a huge favor?
Sure.
When you and Miss Susie go on your adventure races, please don't carry any big magnets with you. I don't want you to get
I
lost.
carry a very small magnet.
Okay, don't let them mess with your compass.
But a little trick to the folks: if you want to, you can buy a compass for $1 at the store. But be careful because, as I showed you with the magnet in my pocket, it can be interfered with by magnets. So if you try to take it in your car, your engine is also a big magnet and can throw it off. So
Oh, good point. It's a very good
try to
point.
go off in the just in your backyard or wherever, so nothing else interferes with it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jim.
See you guys.
Bye, Neighbor Jim.
Bye.
All right, we've got another episode of Neighbor Jim, and what is he going to teach us about today?
Today we're going to talk about maps. So the last time we talked, I told you that my wife Susie and I like to do this thing called adventure racing, where we go out in the woods and it's like a big treasure hunt where we try to find things in the woods. And last time we talked about how a compass works, and a compass helps you determine which direction is which way's north, which way's south, which way's east and west, right? So the other part is maps. So the compass will tell you which direction you are going in, but you use a map to figure out where things are, okay? So there's all kinds of maps out there. Maps just are representations of real world things.
Like models?
Like models, right, exactly. And maps also have a scale, all right? So I brought out the globe again. We talked about that last time, and you remember there, you can see in here is Tennessee. You can see right there, and Chattanooga's in the what? The southeast corner of Tennessee, right? But this globe represents the Earth, okay, that we live on. But as you can see, the Tennessee is real small compared to the entire size of the Earth. So there's really, you don't get much information out of there. So if I wanted to go to, some other place, Crossville or something like that, I wouldn't know how to get there because that information is not on the globe.
There's not enough room.
Not enough room, exactly. So what we do with maps is that we scale things up or down in order to get more information on them. So I brought some maps that I use, and just to give you an idea of how things work and how things are related on a map to tell you what's going on and what's out there in the real world. So you can come over here. So this map right here, if you guys know about Signal Mountain, that's over in this area. This is kind of Red Bank and North Chattanooga. And this map represents this area. If you look at the bottom here, you'll see Tennessee. And you see that little rectangle, that little dark rectangle there? That's what this map represents, okay? So it tells you that this is the area that this map is showing you the information for. All right, so what do you see on this map? First of all, you see colors, right? So green, you know what's green, right? Trees and forests and woodlands. So that's the green areas on the map. The white areas are areas where there's not as many trees. So these are like neighborhoods and things. So you can see like little squares and little rectangles. Those are buildings, okay? Everything from schools to houses to shopping centers and what have you. And then there are the roads. This is Highway 27 or Corridor J coming up through here, all right? It's the highway up on Signal Mountain. And also on there, if you look up here, you'll see a lake. That's Boston Branch Lake up on the backside of Signal Mountain. So that's in blue. So all the water and water areas are in blue. So I can look at this map and see what all these things, what I would encounter if I went up on Signal Mountain. This has a scale, all right? The scale says 1 to 24,000. What does that mean? That means that one of everything on this map, say 1 inch, represents 24,000 inches out in the real world. All right. Another way of looking at it is it would take me about 1 step, okay, to go the length of this map. All right. This map represents, it's about 8 miles long. It would take me 24,000 steps to go the entire length of this map.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty large area. The other thing that this map has, so this is a 2-dimensional map. What that means is it's got height and it's got width, okay? But what's the third dimension? This is a 3-dimensional globe, right? Because it has depth or height. So, if you look at the map sideways, you see that there's nothing there, right? It's only got 2 dimensions. But maps have a little trick. In order to tell you how high things are, they use things called contour lines or elevation lines. So if you just look up here, Emily, you'll see all these brown lines, okay, right next to each other. That's Signal Mountain. That's the ridge line right there.
Oh.
Right? So each one of these lines, okay, represents a different height. All right, you can think about it like this. So on my patio here, all right, if I'm standing here, that would be represented by one of those lines. But if I went up here, it'd be the next line up. If I went up here, it'd be the next line up. So what that's showing you is that the height keeps changing very quickly.
So the more lines there are.
So where the lines are real close together, that means it's very high, very steep, okay? And when the lines are not close together, like through here, it means it's flatter. So I would know if I'm in a race or just going, out for a drive, this area would be fairly flat. This area would be very steep and very hilly. All right.
All right. Look at these 3.
Yeah, those are little ridges or little hills along the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. What I wanted to show you guys is a couple other different maps of downtown Chattanooga and the different scales. So if you looked at this map right here, all right, again, this is showing the Chattanooga area. You can see about a little rectangle right here. All right, so this is Chattanooga. That's downtown, North Chattanooga, Raccoon Mountains, and Signal Mountain over here in Red Bank. But as you can see, this area has these 4 other rectangles inside, all right? So if I take that out of the way.
Oh, cool. That's what those 4 rectangles. All right, this is Neighbor Jim Part 2. My phone got really hot and it decided to stop on me. So we're going to get started where we left off, and here we are.
Okay, so what we were talking about was that you can see that this map has these rectangles in it, okay? And that represents the places where these 4 maps underneath it, and I'll show you in a second are. But this is Chattanooga, all right? Downtown Chattanooga right here. It's the river in blue. You see that?
I see the
River.
walking bridge.
Yeah, and we got green for all, just like the other map, the same sort of symbols and the same sort of colors used, okay? But what I wanted to show you was this would be considered a smaller scale map than these maps. In other words, there's more details, there's more information, where it's zoomed in more.
We zoom in.
That's right, you zoom into things. So as you can see, like if you look at downtown, right through here, right, and North Chattanooga, where Emily and I live, we're right over here. There's Normal Park School, all right? There's more detail in this. And if you go up Hickson Pike a little bit, what do I see there? It says the Bright School. So this is where you guys go to school.
I had no idea we were so close to the river.
Yeah, and so to come full circle, if I look at that map, what direction, okay, do I need to go from where we're at to the Bright School? I need to go pretty much north, right? So to come full circle on how you use a map and a compass together is I look at that map and I go, I need to go from my house to the Bright School to see all those kids that Emily's been showing these videos to. So I take my compass and I go, which way's north? That way. Bye, kids. We'll see you at school.
Wish we could in real life. Thanks, Neighbor Jim.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, Neighbor Jim, you are on.
Hey, kids. It's Neighbor Jim again. If you remember, last time I talked to you, we talked about bicycles. We're going to talk about bicycles again a little bit, but we're going to talk about some other things as well. And I apologize up front to the parents out there. I'm going to show your kids expensive bikes that they're going to want when they get older. Yeah, let's talk about, we talked about shapes last time. So one of the shapes on a bicycle that's very important is a circle. We talked about circles, right? This is a bicycle wheel. And you can see there's circles here, and this is called the hub. This is the part that's attached to the bicycle itself. And this is called the rim. It's another circle. And in between are spokes that hold the hub and the rim together. So the bicycle wheel just spins around that hub like that. Right? Nice little circle. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you was this is made out of metal, which makes it nice and strong and stiff. Okay, so it holds together when you're riding the bicycle. The problem with it is that because it's stiff, if you're riding along and you come up on a rock or a stick or something like that, I don't know if you can get any closer there.
I can.
Let's do it this way so let's shadow. But watch as the bicycle goes over. See how it goes up in the air? It lifts up and then comes back down. See how it goes up? The problem with that is that if you're riding the bicycle, if the wheel goes up, what happens? Your body goes up. And if you got a bunch of sticks and a bunch of rocks, then you get bounced around a lot. So wheels, both on bicycles and cars and trucks and lawnmowers and all those kind of things, have a little trick, okay? It's called a tire. You notice the difference here. This is all metal. This one has a rubber tire on top. And as you can see, this material, that's rubber. You see how it's flexy? It gives versus the metal part, it's hard, right? So, look at the wheel as it goes over the stick again. Watch the tire. See how it deflects? And the wheel doesn't go up and down. The wheel, the rim part, the metal part, stays in the same place. So the tire absorbs, okay, the stick.
It's a lot smoother.
Very smooth, right? Okay, so part of the reason it does that is the rubber compound. All right, it's more flexy, gives more, but also it's got another trick. So this is what a tire looks like, and it has a tube inside. All right, so this is the rubber tire, and inside of it is a tube that holds air. So if I take this and I use this pump, push up and down, you can see how it's filling with air? So that's what's going on inside of the wheel. That sits inside the tire, and it goes on top of the rim, okay? And you can control the amount of flex and give depending upon how much air you put in the tire. I wanted to show you about the pump and how this works real quick. It's kind of neat. Alright, so this is a good example of one that you can see through. This is metal, so you can't see what's going on inside. But it's got this shaft, it's a piston, and inside is this another circle, okay, that when you pull it up, it pulls air in, and then when you push down, it pushes the air out. You can kind of hear.
I can even feel it.
Yeah, you feel the air coming out. So that's what's going on inside of here is, as I pull this up, you can hear the air coming out. That goes into the tire and blows it up, right? So we can make this tire stiffer or not, depending on how much air we put in. Tires are kind of neat because they're circles in all directions. So if you look at this, you'll see that it's a circle around this way, but it's also a circle in this direction. So this is a tube. Here, and as you can see, that's what the inside of the tube looks like. So it's another circle. You know what this shape kind of looks like? It's like a donut. It's called a toroid, but it's a donut shape. It's making me hungry, by the way. You can send donuts to 510 Crutzen Avenue.
Oh, yes.
37405.
Julie Darling.
That's right. So the other trick that bicycles use and the wheels use is a thing called traction. All right. So traction is kind of the grip, okay, that you get on the ground. So on a bicycle, if you look over here on this bicycle, there's only two parts of the bicycle that are touching the ground, right? It's this tire here and that tire back there. All right. So you want something that grips the ground and keeps you upright. It's called keeping the rubber side down. You always want the bicycle to be right side up, right? And the way it does that is that the rubber is grippy, and so it grabs the ground as it goes by and keeps you upright. So a good example would be like the slide at the park or in your backyard. It's usually made out of metal or plastic, something smooth that you slide right down, right?
We talk about texture.
Yeah, there you go. Texture. That's an excellent point. So rubber has kind of a grippy texture. So if the slide was made out of rubber, you wouldn't go anywhere. Okay, which is bad for a slide, but it's good for a tire. So you want the traction. Okay, so that grabs the ground. So there are different kinds of bicycles for different kinds of things. And what I wanted to show you was that if you look at this tire here, this is called a road bicycle. And I don't know if you can get a little bit closer, Emily, but you see how smooth that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is for riding on the roads that are nice and smooth. So you don't need, you might hit some sticks or some rocks or things like that, but there's not a lot of things that you have to, obstacles in the way, right? So all you need is a smooth tire. Now the smooth tire makes it go faster, okay? But it doesn't have a lot of grip. But the rubber itself grabs the ground and keeps you upright. This is another type of tire. This is called a cross tire or a gravel tire. So this tire is not as smooth as this one, right? See, it's got these little lugs and things on it to help grab the ground. It's almost like your fingers grabbing the ground. Okay, but it's not very very wide. So it goes pretty fast, but it's also much more grippy than this tire is.
Okay.
And then the next type is called a mountain bike tire. As you can tell, this thing is big and wide and has these big lugs on it, like teeth that grab into the ground. So this is what we use when we're riding on trails. There's a lot of rocks and roots and dirt and loose ground. So this tire will grab the ground and hold you in place so you don't fall over. So what I wanted to also show you was shoes. So when I'm standing here, the only thing holding me onto the ground are my feet and my shoes, right? I brought out some slippers. And as you can see on the bottom of these slippers, they're smooth, all right? They're kind of like the road bike, all right? They're for just walking around the house, on your nice smooth floors. So you don't need a lot of grip, right? Don't need a lot of traction, not a lot of texture. These are trail shoes. As you can tell, they have lugs on them, okay?
A lot like that tire.
Very much like this tire. See the little square lugs? So that's when I'm running on the trails, when there might be dirt and there might be gravel, this will grab onto that and keep me from falling down. All right? The mountain bike tire is big and heavy and got a lot of big lugs on it. This is a hiking boot. Look at that. So look at the difference between the lugs on those two.
Oh, yeah.
Big, chunky lugs. Of course, this is heavier, more robust, but it keeps you from falling down when you're hiking on the trails. So just wanted to show you guys about how the different textures and the different materials can kind of help you stay upright when you're riding your bike or you're walking or hiking or running or doing whatever when you're playing. So that's it, and I hope I see you guys again soon.
Thank you, Mr. Jim.
Bye, guys.